Madam Speaker.
You're laughing about what? What's funny?
What's funny is I have an amendment at the desk, and the amendment number is...
Guess you couldn't answer that one, huh?
Or that we went to the same high school. That's funny, too. So, the amendment is number 583.
Madam Speaker, point of order.
Yes, floor leader.
We're on this amendment at the moment?
There's
Or
no
are we
amendment.
on discussion? Okay, that's why I asked for a point of order. Thanks.
Yeah, the other
Amendment
one.
number 583628/1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment, Madam Speaker.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This amendment is essentially another resolution for the Convention of States. Article 5, Convention of States to the Constitution is a bipartisan movement. The Convention of States Amendment has been introduced in this legislature for many, many years and has never been voted upon in committee. Here's what the Convention of States Amendment does. It implements fiscal restraints on the federal government. The current federal deficit is $34 trillion. Limits the power and jurisdiction of the federal government and its bureaucracy, and limits the terms of office for officials of the federal government and the United States Congress. Why is the majority party afraid? What are they afraid of in relation to the Convention of States? After all, SJ1 here on the board invokes Article 5 of the United States Constitution as well to amend it, and authorizes the states to hold a convention of states to amend the Constitution. Why would Congress ever impose term limits on itself, let alone impose fiscal restraints on themselves? After all, when you can print money, you can buy as many votes and as much support as you want. Yet the Convention of States is never brought up for a simple vote in the committee. How is this equal rights? Every bill in every committee should be voted upon up or down. That's why we were sent here. When a bill is not voted upon, a sponsor's constituents are not being allowed adequate representation by the process, by the chair, by the committee process, and by this legislature. How is that equal rights? When individuals who spent time testifying, salt-of-the-earth individuals, Democrats and Republicans, because it's a nonpartisan movement, are disrespected in the committee, sorry, that's not equal rights. I shouldn't have to even offer this amendment on the floor because it should have been voted upon either up or down in committee. That would have been equal rights to the citizens of Maryland and to the process. Here's the thing. Equal rights are important for everyone, and I really have to question why anyone would think that we're going to be able to pass a bill that's going to force equal rights when the citizens of the state aren't even granted that. I'm reminded of the George Orwell quote in Animal Farm, where he comments on the hypocrisy of governments that proclaim the absolute equality of their citizens, but give power and privileges to a small elite. Quote, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And I'll just say with this, with the virtue signaling that I've heard on this floor about your desire for equal rights, if you believed in equal rights, you wouldn't have some legislative districts with one member and each person gets to vote once, and some with 3, and each citizen gets to vote 3 times. That's not equal. Spare me. For all those reasons, Madam Speaker, I'd like to move this amendment for the Convention of States, this resolution, which amends to this bill, SJ1, and calls for limits on the federal bureaucracy, term limits for Congress, and fiscal restraint on the federal government. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you to the gentleman for providing his amendment in plenty of time. And I would ask the body to reject this amendment. The gentleman's resolution is still in the Rules Committee, along with other things, and there's no need to consider it along with this and muddy the waters. I would ask you to please resist the amendment.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Cal.
I appreciate it, Madam Speaker, I do. The gentleman's bill has been in the committee for 7 years, waiting for the chairwoman to actually vote on it and bring it up for a vote. I'm sorry, that's not equal rights.
Madam Speaker.
Gentlelady from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to rise to support my friend from Calvert. I think this is a really reasonable amendment. As he mentioned, this is a bipartisan effort all over the country. It's going to do structurally the same thing that this amendment is going to do, which is going to essentially start a convention of states on this topic. This would include the topic of fiscal restraint on our federal government, which I think all of us can agree needs to happen before our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren are bankrupted. But it also includes a piece about term limits for our federal officials. I don't have to tell anybody on this floor in any party. We have all watched formerly grand members of our party in Congress publicly deteriorate because they have refused to let go of the power that they hold. We have all watched people that we deeply respected in our respective parties absolutely lose themselves if they have aged on the public stage. It is nothing short of elder abuse. It is totally inappropriate, and I don't think most of us have enjoyed watching that happen to the people, the men and the women that we admire. That is totally bipartisan. It is not a Republican or Democrat thing or independent for the Bernie supporters. It's not. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be said. It is broken. It even breaks my heart when I see it happen to a Democrat. I'm not going to lie. It's one of the saddest things I've seen, is watching someone who I may have disagreed with deeply, but who should not have been publicly paraded around on a stage as they have declined so severely in their mental health and their well-being. So that's what this amendment to this amendment actually allows us to do. It allows us to say, we thank you for your service. It's time for you to bow out before you lose yourself and the rest of us have to watch. The entire world has to watch because it's happening. It's endemic in Congress right now. And I think most of the people on this floor probably agree with me on this one topic and not many others. I think we can all agree that this is appropriate. And like the good gentleman said, this is not a partisan bill whatsoever. Many, many deep blue states have already moved this bill. And it's something that needs to happen soon, I think, because what we're seeing in Congress is sad, frankly, and embarrassing.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a quick point on this. First of all, I want to thank the floor leader on the bill because she did make an excellent point. All we're looking for is equal justice under the law, equal application under the law. And striking to me because about 15 minutes ago we just passed HB 449, which says we're only going to grant funds to this group of people in this area. That's not equal application. We all want equal application. And I support this amendment, but the Convention of States does try to rein in fiscal responsibility. The debt is out of control, and that is agreed upon on both sides of the aisle. Nobody even argues it anymore. How can we say we're treating our children and our grandchildren and future generations equally if we're saddling them with this debt that is going to crush future generations and this country? All we're wanting is an equal opportunity to try to rein in national spending. And for that, I support and push this amendment.
On the amendment, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call.
Roll call. Clerk, take the call.
Madam Speaker.
To explain my vote. To explain my vote, Madam
2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This makes a lot of sense because this amendment is actually calling on Congress to do something, where the Senate Joint Resolution 1 affirming the Equal Rights Amendment is dead. And it was Congress telling the states to affirm this, and they did not. They missed the 7-year deadline. And so this makes sense. Let's tell Congress to call a convention and address these very important problems.
Is there any other further debate? Explain your. Clerk will take the call. There being 32 in the affirmative, 98 in the negative, the amendment fails.